Episode 3 begins in the space above Coruscant with a big space battle. All the space battles that had happened in the previous pictures were literally out in space. And what we were saying here was that this battle was still in the upper atmosphere. We weren't quite into space yet. And that gave us a license to do atmospheric, so we could do smoke trails and flame. We could have hanging smoke and debris from damaged ships. And we could have drag on missiles. It's just a bit of a different look from how space battles have been treated previously.
Come on, R2, fight him off. Get him off this jet. Fighter thing.
One thing I thought was amusing about the Jedi Starfighter set that we had was that for the angles where we're looking at our characters front on, we shot through the front window of it. And when we were first setting those up, George didn't like the knees of the characters being right in front of the lens. And that was really the best access point, was through that front window. So we had the actors drop their knees down, but once you drop your knees down, your legs aren't bent anymore, and the only place for your feet to go is outside the front windows. So all those scenes where you see the characters piloting the craft, their feet are sticking out of the windows on the front.
Now, break right. Left. Ready? Let's do that again.
Some new Coruscant locations on Episode 3 included the Opera House, where Anakin has a private discussion with Palpatine. There's some cameos in that. I think George and his daughter are just outside the opera box. One of the things that's kind of fun about working on these pictures where the whole worlds have to be created is those worlds have to be populated. Who do you get to populate these worlds? You get the cheapest labor you can, which is ourselves. So Roger Guyette and Rob Coleman and I and Denise Ream, Jill Brooks, and Janet Lewin are all in an opera box that's the next one over. So it was all the producers and supervisors box. I'm also I'm Anakin's hand a couple of times. When Anakin is sliding down the elevator shaft, and there's a close shot of his hand catching the cables. That's actually my hand. There's a tight view of Anakin sort of twisting his lightsaber and cutting off Count Dooku's hands, and that's me as Anakin. One of the things that George likes to do, because I've seen him do it a number of times, is if there's some portion of a set that we've seen in a previous picture that was left unbuilt or was unseen in the picture, that's an opportunity to do something with it. In Episode 2, we had Palpatine's big, round, red office, and it was 270-degree set, so there was a 90-degree section that was left unbuilt for camera access. We built that missing section on Episode 3, and that's where the hallway that goes down to Palpatine's private secret office are. Similarly, Padme's apartment had been seen previously in Episode 2, but there were a couple areas that hadn't been established before. In a corridor that leads off of Padme's bedroom, there's a staircase that goes down to her veranda. It's a new part of the set that we hadn't seen previously. Another new area for Coruscant is the Imperial Rehabilitation Center. This is this emergency medical area that Anakin is taken with after he's so horribly injured on Mustafar. This is where he becomes Darth Vader.
Awaken him.
This was a very small partial set. We had just the floor and the table that he was on. The rest of it is a virtual digital environment. Astute viewers will notice that Yoda changes a little bit between Episode 2 and 3. Between Episode 2 and 3, subsurface scattering had been developed, and you can see it in the translucency in his ears. Tried to make sure that he still kind of looked like the same Yoda, but he was just a little bit better in Episode 3. Yoda has a lot of performance to do. He has a broad range of emotions he has to portray. And he has to do a lot of action. He has a very lengthy, involved fight with Palpatine in the Senate chamber and in the office below. The fight scene in the Senate chamber was a fun one to do, since we had seen the Senate chamber in the previous pictures as this important place for public discussion and policy setting, suddenly being used as the background for a big battle where they're throwing the pods around and they're smashing into each other, using them as weapons. It was nice graphically and a nice dramatic statement. I think by the time we got to Episode 3, we were pretty practiced at doing Coruscant, so that was one of the more straightforward environments we had to deal with.
Another happy landing.